Hi folks, welcome once again to a Gaz Labs short video. Bit of an odd one today. Every now and again I'm asked about my motorcycle, which is a Triumph Bonneville T100 Black, and it's a 2018 model. Now I've had this now for getting on for 2 years, and in all that time I've learned all the little niggles with it, and all the things I really love, and it's such a fun bike, and you can't wait to get on it. It's fantastic for just popping around in the evening, maybe doing a bit of shopping on, throwing on a rucksack and just going and getting your shopping in the evening. It's absolutely lovely. But it does have a few things that I've kind of begun to really hate. Number one is the shockingly hard suspension. Now you can see just how hard and jarring this suspension is, and after a while that really does get boring. It is so hard, and that the seat is very firm. You get about an hour and a half out of this of riding this bike before you need a arse transplant and a new spine. It really is that jarring. The bike itself is £11,000. They've got no adjustment in that at all. The rear shocks are really basic. They've got the sort of standard twist type adjustment. They don't even give you a C-spanner to do it with, which I just find really upsetting that they've done that. It's just, I just don't get it why they would do that. They could have put some adjustment in the forks that would have helped. They could have put some better springs in there and maybe just taken a bit of extra time to set the suspension up. But on the whole, you know, it's just hard. Some people say, you know, it's in my imagination or whatever, but you can see just how hard this suspension is. It really does sort of jar. The other thing that happens is, because the suspension's so hard, the indicators fall apart. Now I know that there's a bit of an element of the indicators are absolute crap, and they are made from, well, they're made at a factory, I think, that makes toys. I mean, you can see actually here just how hard that suspension is. I think in a minute I hit a bump that is so hard that really hurt, and I can actually remember that one. Yeah, it was very hard. It actually shook the bike, it was that hard. But on the whole, the indicators actually fall apart, and there you go, that's the bump. And what you have to do is take them apart to actually then reseat the bulb. And as you try and get the plastic off, which is like a bayonet affair, the plastic is hard and it sticks to the soft outer, and the whole thing, you can't get it. You almost need a set of Stilsons on it to actually get the things off. But the worst thing about it is, it does this 2 or 3 times when you're out and about. The indicators start flashing rapidly, so you get off the bike, you stop the bike, get off, put the indicators on to find out which one's giving you the grief, and they're both working. So you get back on the bike, you go up the road, and it does it again. So you get off the bike, have a look, can't work out which one's giving you the grief. So this goes on for a little while, and in the end, you know, it does it all the time. You've got to try and get it off. But as you twist the indicator lens to get the cover off, you hear the cracking as the lens cracks. They are absolute crap, those things, real crap. The next thing, okay, which is a really big gripe actually, is just general maintenance on this bike is so difficult. General chain maintenance. It doesn't have a centre stand. It doesn't have bobbin mounts, so you can't put it on a paddock stand. So you then have to adjust the chain to oil the chain. You've now got to do the walk of shame, you know, trying to move the bike 4 foot one way and 4 foot the other, while sort of trying to spray the chain and all that, and making sure you've got it all, and making sure it's all clean. You know, you've got to scrub it and do all the normal things you would with a motorcycle while you're moving this thing around. Or you can actually set it on its side stand, put a piece of wood under one side and jack it up precariously with a car jack. Then you can spin the wheel, give it a jolly good clean, and actually then do a nice sort of, you know, winterized sort of chain lube across the whole of the chain, and make sure you've got it all, both sides. Now that brings me on to the next thing. Okay, so while you're doing that, you notice the chain's a bit slack, so you're going to adjust the chain. So you go to get your 6-sided socket out, put your big T-bar on the top of it, go to put it on, and you realise that one of the exhaust silencers goes over the nut, so you can't get your socket on the nut, so you have to use a spanner to get this thing off. That in itself is bad enough, but the thing is, they want you to torque these wheel nuts back on, and you know, that's really good practice, I suppose, to actually make sure that you use the correct torque settings. To get your torque wrench on there, you've got to take an exhaust silencer off, so you know, you haven't saved anything by using a spanner. That kind of brings me on to the next thing. If you want to take the wheel off, you've then got to take both exhaust silencers off to drift the spindle out. Now, it doesn't have a center stand, so you can't do that. So now it's got no bobbin mounts, no center stand, but what's worse is the center stand is optional, yet they've put the brackets on the bike. So you can't put it on one of the little wind up bike jacks, because those the mounts actually get in the way and the bike wants to slip off in one way or another. There's also a catalytic converter underneath there. The exhaust pipes drop down a bit further than the frame. The whole thing is an absolute nightmare to get up on the thing. So you're now sitting there with a bike, a 210 kilogram bike, now balanced on bricks. Okay, because you've got a puncture. You've got to get it up high enough to clear the mudguard and hope and pray that the bike doesn't fall off. Really, it is just ludicrous that they would do that. I just don't get it. Why would you do that? You know, for God's sake, 250 quid optional centre stand, you put it on the 1200. Not only that, but you put bobbin mounts on the 1200, and it's the same swinging arm, pretty much, give or take. Why not put the swinging arm? You'll also notice as I'm going around these corners, some of the corners that are a little lower speed, I'm taking a lot of care as I go round, because there's actually about 1/4 inch of play in the throttle. That throttle and that engine, the engine, well, what happens is when it goes into that like 1/4 inch of play, as you're running around the corner, the engine cuts. Well, I won't say it cuts, it actually, you know, it goes to tick over and it becomes like a brake. So as you go round, it kind of jerks. The whole thing sort of like jerks around. And as it does that, it wants to lay the bike down. And it happened to me once going into a slow right-hand bend. I did that, just dropped it down, and of course it jerked. And as it did, it threw the bike to the floor. Luckily, I caught it and managed to stand up. But if it had been wet, my foot would have slipped and it would have been really embarrassing. So, yeah, anyway, there you go. The other thing when you get these bikes, the actual mirrors that come with it, okay, they're useless. Best thing you can do with them, take them off and throw them as far away as you can possibly get them from you, because they are awful. Don't even know why they put it on there. I think it's just a box tick. I put the bar end mirrors on. It looks better, works better, not perfect. You'll notice that I'm threading the bike to one side or the other every now and again. I just did it just then, so I can actually see around my elbows. It's not good. The other thing is as well to bear in mind is rust. Okay, these things rust. Royal Enfield, at half the price of this motorcycle, can put stainless steel spokes in their wheels. And Triumph have decided they want to put mild steel spokes in there with plating on, and they're not even well plated. In fact, the plating on this bike is absolutely, it's just showroom tosh. It really is showroom tosh. It's just there to look good for a couple of weeks, and you know, if you're not willing to polish this bike, then it's going to go absolutely rotten very quickly. And being black, it really is difficult to keep clean. It just, every 5 minutes you're cleaning this bike. You can polish it, you can wash it, polish it. I'll guarantee you within 30 seconds you can see dust on it. It's just one of those sort of things. So I wouldn't get another black motorcycle. Really, just too much grief. The other thing I've done to this as well is I put a fly screen on there. That gave me about 10 mile an hour of comfort at motorway speeds. The other gripe I have with it are there are no self-cancelling indicators on this. Now I would have thought that would have been now a compulsory safety feature on a motorcycle. You've got traction control, you've got anti-lock braking, you've got hazard lights, you've got all that sort of stuff, but no self-cancelling indicators. And you'll notice that every 2 seconds I'm having to check that I've cancelled the indicators. Just drives you nuts. My Triumph Tiger had it, and it weren't much more expensive than this. It had stainless spokes and it had self-cancelling indicators. The other thing that I kind of think that is a bit of a cheek is the fact that it doesn't have heated grips on. This doesn't sound that bad, but actually this is a commuter bike. I use this pretty much, if the weather's fair, then I will actually take this out in the winter and I will use it all year round. I mean, I pay enough for it every month, so I want to be able to use the bike. It would be nice to have heated grips on. So I asked how much the heated grips were from Triumph. They are £650. Now apparently there's a huge amount of wiring that goes on in the headlamp cluster. That says to me that Triumph should have done that right the way from the word go. Right from the minute it was going through that factory, they should have put a 20 quid set of heated grips on there and put the wiring in. Why on earth would you do it so that the customer has to then part with another £600? It's like everything is £600. If you want to update the suspension on this, like I said earlier, with the bicycle suspension, the Fox rear shocks, that's £600. The handlebar grips are £600. The cruise control was £600. It's a bit like that farmer from Carry On Camping. You know, it's that's £600. How much is that? £600. Everything £600. It's just like money for old rope, and it kind of really put me off the Triumph brand. It really did. I love the bike. I just think it's a great bike, but you know, Royal Enfield now come along and they're sort of showing people up a little bit. I think they're starting to put things on that you would kind of expect on a bike that costs half as much. All right, it hasn't got all these sort of frills on it. It doesn't, you know, it's got anti-lock braking and all that sort of stuff, but it's got no other sort of frills or anything like that. But it's just half the money. You could spend that £5,000 and make, you know, much nicer bike. But anyway, the GoPro finally gave up. I mean, I do apologise for the picture. It's gone absolutely nuts all the way through, and it just about ate the SD card in a minute. So I'm going to thank you for watching. I do hope that it wasn't too boring and that this has been informative. I'll see you soon.